to strike the last word.
Gentleman's
Today,
recognized.
today we are discussing our nation's road to the COVID-19. As we continue to combat this pandemic, all of us can agree that we must rebuild our economy, we must reopen our schools, and we must restore our communities. As we discuss these important issues that are central to our nation's recovery, it's difficult to comprehend why the COVID-19 relief bill that we are considering today includes millions of dollars for Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers. If passed, this funding won't get kids back into the classroom, it won't get vaccines into arms, and it won't get Americans back to work. As millions of families are struggling with health, economic, and educational ramifications of this pandemic, this is not the time to play politics. This extreme anti-life provisions masquerading as COVID-19 relief are a blatant disregard for all pro-life Americans. We should never force an American to pay for abortions against their conscience, and especially not under the guise of pandemic relief. As this committee seeks to steward taxpayer dollars, it would be malpractice to allow fundings intended for COVID-19 relief to pay for access to abortion. Instead, we must pass this amendment to reallocate this funding to support mental health services and suicide prevention that are deeply needed in this COVID pandemic. Rising suicide rates for adults and children are alarming consequences of this pandemic. Endless shutdowns, job losses, school closures are spurring unprecedented mental health crises. As we hear one heartbreaking story after another, we can't afford to wait. It is critical that all Americans, both adults and children, know that help is available. As we consider our nation's recovery from this pandemic, the American people would be well served by allocating this funding to increase mental health resources and suicide prevention tools. This amendment would fund suicide prevention efforts, strengthening our nation's mental health resources and offering real support to those who need it most, who need it now. Rather than focus on pro-abortion provisions, we have an opportunity today, tonight, to save lives. To paraphrase President George Washington, it is deeds, not words, that define leaders. If our priority is unity, then the path is clear. I urge the committee to dispense with partisanship and refocus on the important task before us. This virus, this invisible enemy, does not discriminate on party lines. This bipartisan threat requires bipartisan solutions. Again, I urge support for the amendment, and I can offer my additional time that's left.